like the intro.
Welcome. I like that new intro.
Me
Actually,
too. Okay.
that's fine.
A little
Welcome
smooth
to
jazz.
welcome to Detroit in Black and White. This is our Friday edition. Uh, Good evening, Jim Nardoni.
Good Friday evening to you, Vanessa, and our
Uh,
friends out there tonight. Thank you for tuning in. If we left you a little high and dry on Wednesday, it was unintentional. And come back, we're still here.
okay, how you doing, Vanessa? Mom?
Doing great. Adolph and Jim
I thought I saw you today walking down Michigan Avenue with it was about a couple hundred people with a cross. I guess this was
whatever.
Good Friday. Yeah, you wasn't in there.
No,
Oh, I thought I
today?
saw you.
No, you didn't see me today. Why are you playing with me? Stop it. Don't
Uh,
even try. But what? Listen, we got to give our people a shout out. Hazel Park Taekwondo, long time no see. Listen, if you are watching the greatest show on these YouTube streets, we want to thank you. We want you to do something else. We want to thank you, but we want you to do something for us. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and to subscribe is free. And share. Tell all your friends about the greatest show on these YouTube streets. You can also join Detroit in Black and White in the comment section. You can feel free to join us in the room. You could come on in the room. You could use that link that's up there in the corner and come on in the room and join us in Detroit in Black and White. Thank you guys so much, Janet. And thank you for sharing. Hey, D Love, happy birthday. Oh, and guess what? Good Friday, everybody.
Is it Duela's birthday?
Dwayne's birthday was yesterday.
29. Happy birthday, Duela.
And Tracy's birthday was gosh dang.
Where's Tracy? I haven't seen her in a
I
bit.
don't know. I don't know where she is, but her birthday was a few days before Dwayla. So
Well, happy
Tracy and
birthday to
Dwayla.
Tracy, too.
Yeah.
There she
Hey,
is. Happy birthday.
everyone. I
Right?
guess Adolph disappeared for no good reason. So I guess we could get started with I don't know where he is. Hey, Dorian Denard. Hey, hey.
Hey,
We miss
Dorian.
you guys. Dorian Denard says good evening. Adolph is coming back into the studio. There he is, right there.
okay, so this is before we come on with our guest.
Wednesday. They asked what happened Wednesday.
My question. We're gonna talk about the state of the city.
Mm.
Did you listen to the her speech, Mayor Sheffield? Anybody?
I did not.
Okay, I did.
Comment section. You see what I wrote?
Well, okay, I did. You know,
I did.
uh,
I'm busy getting signatures.
okay. Well, you're supposed to have the shit done, and don't worry about it. There's no excuse. But anyway, um, unbelievable that the pie in the sky. If she can do all what she says she can do, Detroit is going to be the greatest city in the world next year. So
Why not today? Let's do it today.
well, you can't do it today because the pie in the sky. When somebody say they can do this, they'll do this, and I like when folks say we gonna do all that, but realistically, um, you can't. They cutting property taxes 50 to 60%. Dan Gilbert is gonna come in and save the city. It's just all the same shit. You can't. Where's the money coming from? And I'm not trying to not knock the mayor, but
Look,
we'll see.
listen. People told me that she talked about getting in the neighborhoods and building up the neighborhoods, and there was a story that Mike Evans, who's a regular guest on our show, broke driving down Greenfield off of 6 Mile. I
Right.
floor with all the trash and stuff like that. Listen, that was there before she became the mayor of the city of Detroit. Listen, we heard this whole speech about this whole thing about we're going to move into the neighborhoods. I know that we've heard this conversation for the last 8 years. So I mean, it's the same.
We unheard it for 12 years. She been in office. She been city council 12 years. So
Yeah,
12 years, 12 years. She has an aggressive agenda, and we'll see if it
What's
works.
wrong with that?
But
Dorian says nothing she's proclaiming is not possible, especially with the tax cuts.
Nothing
I
wrong
mean,
with that.
hey, Cal, even with that whole program, it sounds wonderful. $25,000
she talked a good game.
buy a house. We're gonna give you $25,000. What difference does it make if you get a house and you get the $25,000 assistance and you can't pay the property taxes? We just heard a few months ago how these people moved from Florida, moved right down the street here in Corktown, and they had these inflated taxes on their home. It just sounds. Listen, we want
We ain't listening.
that
We
bill
the
to be
people
No,
ain't listening to
successful.
her.
Can I,
People
can I,
not listening to her. People don't. I'm gonna just tell you, they're gonna lay off folks when they're talking about, oh, we we are going to raise the pay. Everybody gonna get $20 an hour, $21 an hour in the city workers. But how many city workers gonna be laid off? That's just real. Real. You got to be realistic on. One person get paid, the other one get laid off. So
can I ask
I,
you guys a question about it all? I have a
go,
question. Can I?
go ahead.
First, I want to say hi, Queen B. Hello,
Mhm.
Queen B. Uh,
Karen,
Kelly, Karen Ware, Karen Winston. Detroit is still a dump except for certain neighborhoods. Dorian, nothing. Yeah, we talked about Dorian. Thank you, Dorian. Dwayla, nope. The new intro had nothing to do with our perfect storm, Mr. 1213. We just had a little storm there, and we apologize for not letting you know. They're giving away more land than Dan Gilbert. That is Hazel Park Taekwondo. I think we're Janet. Thank you, Janet. You probably a good reason to clean up your DVR if you didn't get a chance to view it. But we had somebody make a point in the last couple of days about Mayor Sheffield's endorsing a possible endorsement of Mike Duggan. So I wanted to see how is she going to negotiate this? How is she going to maneuver between Mike Duggan and the Democratic Party and Jocelyn Benson?
She not because I saw Duggan. He was at the state of the city.
oh, he was.
Duggan, most of his people, his important folks, is still there in place, and the spokesman John Roach, he ain't went nowhere. There's a whole what is it? Conrad Mallett, he's still there. All these folks are still there. Duggan Point people. Duggan is there. So Duggan is banking on her to deliver Detroit. Well, I don't think she can deliver Detroit because she might get 22% of the voters. That's how many people voted in the election. But if he banking on her to deliver, he's gonna be surprised that she can't deliver. Nobody can deliver. Coleman
And
Young didn't deliver to a lot of these candidates. I know I was there. I can think of one or two people that his endorsement helped. Uh, the only person he helped in 20 years was himself. And that's what's going to happen. She's going to help herself. She can deliver votes for herself, but she can't deliver, just like she can't deliver all the shit that she says that she can. You know, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and you know, it can't. It ain't gonna happen.
So what are you saying? It can't. Are you saying that it's an impossibility? That it's
No, it ain't a possibility, but it don't have the fucking money. Listen, what we do is we'll come back at towards the end of the show and we'll talk
Yeah.
about it. Let's go to our guest. We have a guest. Her name is Tracy Mungo. It sounds familiar. It is familiar. She's my cousin. She spelled her name Mungo, the
The right
real
way.
spelling.
you said the right
She,
way.
well, you know, the Mongos here, we do it our way. So anyway, she wrote a book called A Woman's Business. It's a hit. They talking about your book all over Atlanta. She's from Atlanta, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Tracy.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Jim.
Hi,
Thank you.
Tracy. How
Welcome.
are you?
Welcome to
Very
the
nice to
show.
meet you both. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
So
book, this book. What made you write this book, and what is the book about?
Yes. So what made me write the book, I love to read. I've always loved to read from a child. I have a sister who's 13 years older than me, and she had a bookcase in her bedroom that I would go and infiltrate when she wasn't home. And she was reading more of the age appropriate books for her age group than my age group. So I would read these adult books with, adult content, adult situations, and I seen all of the people in my family in these books. I seen not all of them, but a lot of them, a lot of the people, colorful people in my neighborhood. So I started reading about 12 years old intently, but I always said I can write these books. And so from that point on, I started writing books. But what would happen is I would start and stop. And that continued throughout my entire adult life. And each time I would go back to start off where I left off, start back where I left off, I couldn't find what I previously wrote. So each time the book was taking different shapes, different subjects. It was just changing. So that was over 35 years ago. And I had an unfortunate incident with my life. I was had my bags packed and had my visa and everything. I was going to Ghana, West Africa, because I wanted to learn about these very strong women that I had in my life. Like I grew up with some strong women, and it led me to do my DNA research, my ancestral DNA research, and that's when I found out that on both sides of my family, maternal and paternal, they had lineage from Ghana, West Africa. And I had also heard stories from other family members who were heavily into ancestral research. Anyway, long story short, 10 days before my trip, I had a brain aneurysm that, yes, caused me. I was in intensive care for 6 days, unconscious. My doctors told me, thank goodness, that I wasn't on the plane on my way or even there in Ghana, because I probably would have came back in a bag.
Wow.
So, my life changed. It caused me a stroke on the left side of my body. And I was totally incapacitated. I had to learn how to walk. I couldn't even sit. And I had to do rehab. I was in a rehab hospital for a month. Anyway, I fought to get back what I had lost. Thank God I was able to do it. And I cried because I had a 6-figure paying job. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. And after my FLMA ran out, they fired me.
Wow.
So my entire life was like I was in a hurricane. Everything had just changed for me. And I cried one day, and cried to my brother, my youngest brother. And I said, what am I going to do with my life? Because with my job, I could have been in 3 different uh, time zones in 1 week. That's how much I traveled. So here I am laying in the bed. My whole life had basically changed. And he said, finish writing your book. And I tell you all, I started writing that day and I didn't stop. So
What's your book about, Tracy?
my book is about a group of strong Black women who were in the 1920s. That's why I'm dressed this way, because I didn't just want to talk about them. I wanted to bring them with me.
Okay.
So they're a group of strong Black women, 1920s, just about 50 years outside of slavery. And I love that period because the women of that era and the men, they were sophisticated, they were classy, they did a whole lot with a little bit of nothing. So these women were strong women. They were part of the last group that came from Ghana, West Africa, and the one sister, was 3 sisters. She had a daughter. Her daughter was born in America. So her daughter wants to live the American way and go against all the principles that she was taught from her African culture. At the age of 13, the women go through a rite of passage, and through that rite of passage, they're taught the principles.
Mm-hmm.
These principles are loosely based on things that I learned from the strong women in my family. These sisters in my family, they were no joke. So these sisters in the book are loosely based on my ancestors. My mom, I was very fortunate enough to know 2 of my great grandmothers and great aunts, and those sisters was no joke. So these women in this book have the essence of them. So they're mad at the daughter, the main character, May Rose Jones, because she's went against the teachings. She married a drunkard who can't take care of her and her 3 daughters. So she's fighting with her elders. She's also fighting with her daughter, who is just turning 13 and going through the rite of passage ceremony, which teaches her the principles. And so it's a whirlwind of shenanigans. The mother and the aunts take the story and the situation into their own hands, and they're causing mischief between May Rose and her husband. They're telling her daughters such a failure that she didn't do what she was supposed to do. But long story short, May Rose was stronger than they thought she was.
Yeah,
So
let me ask you this. You got people pissed at you? You said you based it on family members. And, people read it and they say, why the fuck you write about me? Has that happened?
no, not yet, but I'm being very wise about it, Adolph, because I'm not using any of our family's names in these stories. And the ones who I'm writing about, they have long gone on to glory. So
Okay.
they're not here. But
And I love the location, Bedford, Virginia.
Yes.
200 miles from the coast. I think that's fascinating if you're familiar with the area. And I think you should tell our viewers how you are weaving United States history and using it with fiction to just wrap it up in a big ball and send it out to us. I can't wait to read it. I've just read a few snippets and I'm fascinated by it. So tell us how you did that, how you wrapped up the history with fiction.
Yes. So I have some of the things in the book are actually true. My strong women in my family that I knew on that side of the family, Adolph, this is on my mom's side. They were from Bedford, Virginia. So
Okay.
that is why
I wondered.
Yes, that is why the story takes place in that area. Yes. And I talk about the coal mine in the book. And I actually had a grandfather who worked in a coal mine. So
Wow.
I'm paying homage to these people reimagining their stories, excuse me, and speaking about, I did research, Jim, on the area to answer your question. The church, the churches in the town at that time, and, the things that people did and what they ate. I did a lot of research, especially in the area of the 1920s.
What kind of uh, 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 you got your book published. You go on. You have book signings and stuff. What are folks saying about your book?
It's a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful. I've gotten a lot of rave reviews. I have a 4.9 star rating on Amazon, but I'm having people contacting me and giving me their reviews. They're relating to the characters. That's one of the main things that I'm hearing from people, that they can relate to these characters in the book. They're sassy, they have attitudes, they're funny, they'll invoke every emotion that you have in you. You'll laugh, you'll cry. These are people that you know in your own families, and this is what I'm hearing from reviews, from people about the book.
So Tracy, I have a comment and a question. So it sounds like the Mongols like to write books because your cousin is writing a book. So I
Yes.
guess that's what the Mongols do.
Yeah.
But your book centers around these key principles and themes, like controlling the relationship, handling your business, intergenerational wisdom teachings, balance of love and authority, resilience and agency. Can you tell our readers, our viewers, a little bit more about those principles so that maybe they will go ahead and buy your book? Because it seems I'm reading it, but I want other people to buy the book and support you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for bringing that point up. So the book itself, it speaks about things that our all of our ancestors knew. The women, they taught me about, like you said, conducting myself as a woman, class, sophistication, how you should. I'm gonna say this statement. This is a tagline of the book. And Adolph, I know you're gonna give me some mess, Jim. I don't know you well enough, but I got a feeling you're gonna have something to say too. But the tagline is, "To love a man will give you a lifelong of heartache. However, if you follow the principle of a woman's business, you'll not only control the relationship, but you'll control the man." So this is one of the principles of the book. And men know this to be true because you'll hear men say, "A happy wife is a happy life."
Right.
And that is based on that principle that a man knows that a woman is controlling the relationship. And even if she isn't, he's making her believe so. And that works on the other hand with the woman. She might make the man think that he's running the household when it's actually her. So that's like part of the principles that I learned. I'll give you another principle that I learned, and it's in the book. My mother told me, if you only got one pair of shoes, it's your man's fault, because you should have an assorted pair of shoes only if he has one pair.
So what I get is Jim and Adolph, your wives are running things over there, and you better make sure that she has more than one pair of shoes.
That's that's it. But there's so much more, Vanessa. There's so much more. And to add to that, people coming to me saying, "Tracy, you need a book on these principles. I wish these principles were available when I was coming up. It would have saved me a lifelong of heartache with relationships." So I am now writing a companion handbook to the first book that is entitled "The Woman's Business, The Principles." And so I go into some of those principles that I was taught.
Oh
Well,
wow.
the first time we've been left speechless, Adolph and I, in 2.5 years.
I know. Well, you got it going. Where can people buy this book, Tracy?
The book can be purchased on Amazon. It is listed under the title A Woman's Business by Tracy Mungo. It's also on Barnes and Noble. Yes, thank you, Ada. It's on Barnes and Noble's website. You can also purchase the book from my website, which is www.tracymungoauthor, the same as I have my name listed, Tracy Mungo Author, all one word, .com. And if you purchase the book on my website, you'll get a signed copy and you'll also get some book swag. So I'm sending each person that buys it from my website a little token of my appreciation.
Same name,
Well,
different spelling, right? Same last name, different spelling. If you come on
absolutely.
To this
we was the Mongos in Detroit was renegades.
Yes, my grandfather, he had a little saying about the change of the names. And I thought it was very funny, but Adolph know that story, and I'll let him tell it if he cares to share it. But that we were always told that our spelling was the right way.
Yeah, there's no question, the Mongos.
But we still Mongos. We still are Mongos.
Oh, now we had a cousin that wrote a book. Talk about our cousin. I want to plug it.
Yes, Michael Twitty. He's a James Beard Award-winning chef. He's won several other awards. This is, I believe, like his third book where he does recipes based on Africans bringing their different vegetables and things to the United States and cooking those things while they were here in the Americas. So he actually did a pilgrimage to Ghana and traced the tribe that we came from and went and cooked with that tribe.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Well, we're gonna get him on.
Wait a minute, is he a Mongo too? Because you said Twitty or Twitter or something.
Yeah, or Twitty, first
side.
cousin. First cousin. Those my mother's first cousin.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
my grandfather.
If I can, Adolph, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you. You spoke to another show, I think it was, and you talked about liberation. The written word being liberation, almost like it was therapeutical for you to write about some of these things. And I think that's something people should understand. And can you talk about that just for a couple of minutes?
Sure, absolutely. And thank you for bringing that point up, Jim. It was absolutely therapeutic. In one way, physically, it was therapeutic because it helped me take my mind off of what I was going through with my illness that I had. But it was also therapeutic for me in some of the bad relationships that I was in, that I didn't listen to the principles that I was actually taught. If I had have listened, and that is my message that I want to get out to some of the young women nowadays, is to save them the heartache, because being therapeutic, getting those things out on paper that you already knew, the things that you were taught, that was what was therapeutic for me. So yes, it was very therapeutic.
Okay. Vanessa?
No, I just want to tell you congratulations. I plan on buying the book and reading the book. I read a little bit and I was like, wow, this sounds like anybody's family. Somebody married to man, his name was Willie. My father's name was Willie.
Yeah.
It sounds like he was a rebel rouser. He liked to drink, kick butt, but the main character still loved her husband no matter what. And then you had these family members. And I think it, for me, I'm like, okay, even though in the 1920s, it stands true today. You got family members like, why you ain't leaving that fool? What you doing with him? That kind of thing. It kind of remind me of Myself, when I was younger, I'll tell my mother, why don't you leave him? Talking about my father. Didn't know nothing about nothing. Okay, I was a kid. Kids need to stay in kids' place. But at any rate, it sounds like it's very interesting. So I'm excited about reading it.
Thank you
Uh,
so much, Vanessa.
before you go, Tracy, and well, what about the people that don't want to read? They just want to listen. An audio book. You're gonna have to use. Is that something you're gonna have in the future?
That is something I'm absolutely working on right now, Adolph. I've started the process. I found my voice actor, so I'm very excited about that. It's just a matter of getting it in writing and getting it started. So yes, there will be an audio book. It is an ebook as well. So people that like to read the Kindles, they can purchase it at Amazon for their Kindle. And I'm in the process of writing the second book. I'm in the middle of that actually, and it's based on one of the characters in A Woman's Business. And I intend to write about maybe 4 to 5 books to follow the generations through different characters. And when we start getting closer to current times, Adolph, you may recognize some of the people in the book then, because it will be based on some of the family members at that time.
Okay, well, Tracy got to come back on. You know, Tracy was been kicking my ass, saying how you won't let me come on and want to promote the book. Here you are,
That's what
girl.
big cousins are supposed to do. He's like a brother to me. He's a big cousin slash brother. That's what we call each other's families, brothers and sisters slash cousin. That's how close we are. Just a little tidbit of information.
They the Pittsburgh Mongols, and we got Mongols all over the place, and they all different.
Yes,
I'm telling you,
yes.
Pittsburgh
And we
Mongols, they different. The South Carolina Mongols, they real different. Atlanta, but anyway, Tracy, we're gonna have to have you back. Your book, A Woman's Business.
And the
It is
reviews
a
are great.
this is a bestseller. This is a bestseller there in Atlanta. You know, if you want the book, go on Amazon. Where else can you get the book, Tracy?
You can get the book also on Barnes and Noble, and you can get it at my website that is listed there. And if you get it there at my website, you'll get it signed and you'll get some book swag. And I'm
Okay.
sure you are very aware the publishing game as it is. I self-published this book.
Oh,
I
wow.
invested in me. If I could tell a real quick story, Adolph, real quick about the publishing part of it. I worked with a very reputable editor who was also my consultant through this process. And she gave my book to someone from one of the big publishing houses. And just to look at it to get their feedback, because she's worked with these people for over 30 years. And when the person got the draft of the manuscript in her hand and started reading it, she asked my editor, please asked her not to try to get a deal with anybody else. Give us 90 days. We think we want to get this book, but we need 90 days. And so I obliged. I gave them the 90 days. And as it got closer to the 90 days, I didn't hear anything back. So I asked my editor if she could please check to find out what's going on. On the 90th day, they sent her an email. They gave great accolades about the book. They love it. It's wonderful. However, me being a new author and the fact that the company had dropped their DEI policy, they were going to have to pass on publishing my book.
Wow.
You do it yourself, and sometimes you can promote your own book. It's like when MC Hammer was a bat boy for the Oakland A's. Uh, a couple other football players. They saw he had talent, so they invested. The big record companies wouldn't even invest in him, he sold his music out of his trunk of his car, and they were selling it, and all of a sudden these companies they went right at these folks. Now so but listen, the best thing they did was force you to sell yourself. You wasn't waiting on these folks to sell your dream. You selling your own dream.
Absolutely. But they invited me to come back with the
But
second
that's the
book.
way that. But well, they gonna promote you big time. And thank you, Tracy, for
Thank
coming
you.
on. We're gonna have you.
Thank you.
And tell the folks down in Atlanta. I said, "What's up,
I absolutely will. And
Kevin,
Vanessa
Dana?"
and Jim, it was so very nice meeting you. And
Nice to meet
and
you.
thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you would spread the word for me as you're doing right now on your platform, but if you will take me with you when you go out to meet new people, I would so appreciate it.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that was a good interview. Like I said, I read. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. Sounds like part of my life and part of other people's lives too. It's pretty interesting.
Tracy is an interesting person.
Hmm.
Yeah, she was uh, selling, pharmaceutical drugs, doing well, you
Hmm.
know, and she really didn't tell you. She really got sick,
Sounds like
and and she recovered remarkable. There's no question about it.
well, she's on a mission. That's awesome. I think it's a great American story. I just think
Yeah.
it's a great American story, and it needs to be an American story because it is an American story.
So I want to give a shout out to those that are joining us on these comment YouTube streets. Cynthia Johnson, Dewayla, Dorian, Tamari, Queen B, Stephanie, Tracy Huff, all of them have joined in. Mr. 1213. A lot of them missed us on Wednesday. We good. We got good over here. Things happen. Um, but I'm going to read some of the comments. Dorian Denara says the Mongo family is quite infamous around these parts. If any one of y'all wrote a book, I bet a month's income is interesting as hell. Uh, Tamiri says the woman runs the house, but lets him think he's running it. We also have. She says, Tamiri says, my mom made a lot of different rice dishes and said they were called Geechee. That's funny because right before we came on the show, I was talking to someone and I was eating rice. And Tracy could tell you if my mom was living, they could tell my kids could tell you, I love rice. I could eat rice breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had rice today. I had rice yesterday. I had rice on Tuesday, and I had rice on Monday. So I got a little education about Geechees from Tamiri as well as
Good.
Dorian. But people really made comments about the subject matter that we were talking about before our guest came on. So I don't know if you want to go back to that
Sure.
subject matter, but there are people
Go ahead.
who
Go
made
ahead.
comments. I'm going to go back up. Go back up to these comments. Okay, Dorian Denard said the math ain't mathing. What about the balloon payment for the retirees? Question mark. No new residents unless she's about to shake down Gilbert. I don't see nothing she's saying happening. Uh, Queen B said Conrad Malik can't go till Duggan gets a new job. You also have Hazel Park Taekwondo says she have no choice. She's endorsing Duggan. And
Let's
let's
stop
see.
there, can we, for just a second?
Okay. Yes.
How is she going to do that? How is she going to endorse Mike Duggan if she? How can she walk away from the Democratic Party at this point? Does she have the
I
courage
don't.
to do that?
She in between a rock and a hard place.
I mean,
She
I don't
can't.
see it. I don't see her
She
endorsing Mike
can't.
Duggan.
She can't.
But that's just my take. I guess if she's courageous, it'd take a
So what she could do is not say anything at all.
I think that's the right play, but
I
we'll
mean
see.
that she's not, and they probably have had. Listen, they don't have the conversation. She's not going to say anything. Look, I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm not going to say anything. I'm gonna sit this one out. Okay.
I didn't
So
mean to interrupt you. I just thought we should stop there for a second.
right. Mr. 1213 says, did the mayor mention what industry she's going to bring in for revenue? So I don't know if you or Adolph want to talk about the balloon payment and what Mr. 1213 said.
Well, they don't have the money. Duggan, he leaves when when the shit gets hot. There's no question about uh, they can they pay folks because these retirees is looking for that payment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they earned it.
Right, and I don't think it's coming. It's not. It's not coming. And and when people they interview city workers saying, "Oh, she gonna raise our pay at
Mm-hmm.
$21 an hour," but on the backs of who?
Right.
People are gonna be laid off.
Right.
That's the way the game is played.
Right.
You know, she's gonna have to cut and to balance the budget. Cut. Duggan got a pass. He got a bankruptcy. They wiped out the debt, and everybody, he took all the jewelry that we had in the city, and he sold it to the pawn shop. Those folks that got it. We didn't pawn it. We sold our Cobo, the water department, all these places. We have nothing to leverage.
Let me ask,
Detroit has nothing to leverage.
do you guys really believe that the bankruptcy was necessary?
I don't think so, but I'm not a financial person.
I hear
Uh,
you.
Coleman Young faced the same shit back in 1980, and he went and got some folks out of New York and stuff, and they passed a special tax, and it stopped Detroit from going into bankruptcy. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you, Jim. You
It,
wanted to
it's
say
it's
something.
the easy solution, right?
Uh-huh.
Bankruptcy was the easy solution for the city of Detroit. They
Mhm.
got they eliminated all these unfunded accrued liabilities, many of them in healthcare, right? So they just cut those people off and said, "You retiring, you don't get healthcare anymore." They reduced pensions, right? They did not fund the pension systems like
And,
they should have.
and
They had
people that they owe money, vendors that they owe, they didn't pay them.
They invested in places like the Grand Traverse Resort for the general retirees pension system, which was kind of a flop. They just made mistake after mistake, and bankruptcy was the easy solution. To Tamari Kemet, real quick, his mother's from Portsmouth, the Tidewater area, Virginia. I am also traced back to Virginia, so Tamari and I have something in common. Thank you, Tamari.
So, there are some people who feel like, again, I don't know, they feel like the bankruptcy wasn't necessary, that it was a play so that they could do the things like you said, take all of the jewels of the city and sell them off. And, there are people who are of that school of thought. Like you, I don't know. I just found it, during the time, it was very interesting how all this thing played out, because to me, it looked like to me that Duggan was just an emergency manager.
So let me ask you, as an attorney, Vanessa,
He was just an emergency man. He just took over
in a way,
after the emergency manager did.
I think that there's some truth to
Nobody
that.
else said that, but that's what it looked like to me.
But they did the same thing in Wayne County. They did not declare bankruptcy, but they just took all the benefit. They did it differently, but it was similar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tamari says Detroit wasn't bankrupt. The state owed Detroit millions in revenue sharing. It was a ripoff. And to Mary, I mean, she is of the school of thought that a lot of other people believe that the bankruptcy wasn't necessary. But I mean, nobody has not called the thing a thing. Yeah, he was the mayor, but really, he did the work that the emergency manager did right before him, and he just carried that same water. So now we have a new mayor. We want her to be successful, but is this another setup for her not to be successful because she has to
Yeah, it's a setup.
do other
When
stuff?
she said
We're related.
she's banking on Dan Gilbert to bail her out. I listened to the speech. She's gonna
Not
get
just
the
Dan Gilbert.
schools together. She was on the city council 12 fucking years
But
and
isn't that
never
the
said shit about the schools. Not one fucking word. No, I'm gonna make the schools because Dan Gilbert is gonna do this and Dan Gilbert is gonna help me bring people. Uh
is it the same group,
she
Adolf? Is it Roger Penske and is it all of them? Peter Kerma? Are
no,
these all the people that
she
should be
said
counting?
Dan Gilbert, Dan Gilbert,
Oh,
Dan Gilbert, Dan Gilbert. Listen, if she's going for the home run ball, she need to hit some singles,
Mhm,
knock in some runs.
mhm.
right.
Bring. Listen, say bring Kroger to Detroit. That's a hit. That's a triple, a double. Knock in some runs. She's going for the fences. She want to hit a grand slam, and she's not a power ball hitter. And we saw how she operated on city council. She missed meetings. She blew off people, and from what I hear, she has blown off several important meetings as mayor. I so you know I'm hoping she's successful because I live here in the
Right.
city. I want her to be successful, but what she laid out on the table is the pie in the sky, talking that crazy shit. Comey Young didn't
Ask
talk
you
that
this. Let
shit.
me ask you this.
Dennis Archer didn't talk that shit.
Let me
They
ask
didn't.
let me ask you guys this. So, was the speech, we're gonna, because so when you talk about the schools, you talk about the neighborhoods. I mean, hey, we're gonna basically move away from downtown. We're gonna invest in the neighborhoods. We're gonna have the lights turned back on, etc. Was this speech given uh, before we made national news with Greenfield Road and 6 Mile? Was this the day before?
No,
Because that's the
it was the
neighborhood
same.
that I'm making. That's crazy.
It's the same. I listen. I watch the news. On one hand, Channel Seven talked about the speech and did their thing, and right after the speech, they did the Greenfield story.
Oh my God. Did you see it,
That,
Jimmy?
that should tell
I
you.
did not.
Oh, you did? Okay, please, when we go off, please watch the video. Please watch it. Okay. It's disgusting. And then you have people blaming the people but the people said it's been like that for a couple of years. The people
You can't blame the people.
like,
You
Oh, you
cannot.
mean the
no, and the people said, "Look, it's been like this for a couple of years. It was
It's a it's
unbelievable."
it's a former apartment complex. It's been empty. Um, Squatters living in it, just like squatters are living in the Renaissance Center now.
Boy, they say they have a a they have a security company there, to try to keep it. Well, there's nobody in the building. I guess that's where they could go. I mean, to keep them from getting cold or whatever. I don't know, but that is just crazy to me. Uh,
But the bottom line is that Detroit. I'm glad she focusing on the neighborhoods, but you can't hit a home run on everything. You
right.
gotta you gotta you gotta get some base hits, some singles. You got to do one little thing at a time. Yeah, and Dan Gilbert, and Illich and them, they got to be held, especially the Illiches, they got to be held accountable. If we're going to give them all these tax breaks and all this property and stuff, they need you got to say, okay, we giving you $40 million, time goers. Uh, want more than a fucking basketball court at the park. We want you to invest in our schools. They can invest in the schools. They can invest in the neighborhoods. They can, just like Dan Gilbert bought uh, the Apple uh, to Detroit. They go ask these folks, come here. Uh, Kroger got 10 different supermarkets under different names. They can bring supermarkets here, but they build supermarkets right on the border of Detroit, not in Detroit, but right across the street because they get the Detroit people. You know, we could. We need to have somebody, a mayor that's going to be real tough. I remember when WJR was going to move out of the Fisher building. Coleman Young went berserk. He beat up on them, and they stayed right there. When the Red Wings said we moving to Auburn Hills, signed an agreement with Auburn Hills and stuff. The mayor built Joe Louis Arena and got the Michigan whether it's the Michigan National Bank, whether it was the before they became whatever, got them to renege on the loan, and they came back and they sold the Red Wings to Mike Ilitch. But
So she doesn't.
that was because of Coleman Young brokered the deal. You had a mayor that brokered the deal, saying, "You know what? I'm building an arena. We don't even have a damn a hockey team anymore. They moving." That mayor told me he begged Bill Davison not to move the Pistons, that we'll build you a stadium, arena on the riverfront, whatever you want. Bill Davison said he didn't want to have a team in this cesspool. He called Detroit a cesspool, and he moved to Pontiac, the Silver Dome, and he built the Palace. But then the mayor, Coleman Young, almost got the Milwaukee Bucks to move to Detroit because they was pissed because they couldn't get an arena in Milwaukee. The owner, who was a U.S. Senator, Herb Cove, wanted to move. Bill Davison went berserk, saying you can't have two teams in Detroit, etc. And Coleman Young said, "Yes, we can, because you got a certain audience that you cater to, and we got one in Detroit that we cater to. We got to have a mayor that's going to be tough and mean and gonna make stuff happen and
Well,
call these
all,
people out. Call
well,
them out."
listen, in all fairness, no, though, women are treated differently than men. And when you say she got to be tough and call them out, then they'll say, oh, she's a mean, you know what? That
Well, let her be mean. Let her be mean. I
no,
want her to be.
are
I
held to
want her to be mean. I want her to be mean. I
y'all see
want her to
this
be
monster.
the tough mayor that we need. That's what I want. I want her to be mean. I want her to be her own person. I don't want to see her come up to a podium with 30 people behind her. She don't need 30 fucking people behind her. She only needs herself. She don't need that. Every time she has a a press conference, here's 30 people standing behind her. Fuck that. You the mayor. You don't need all that backup. You the backup. You the backup. Send a message to these folks. You know, if you don't tear down these buildings, if you don't fix them, we going after you. And I know Coleman Young was tearing down buildings when folks said you can't tear down buildings. Somebody owned that. He said the shit been empty and for whatever. Boom. That's what they got to do. They got to send a message to some of these property owners that just sitting back and let this property rot. You need to tear them down and then you go after them and make them pay. You got to do something. We cannot just let people every day they got to look at an eyesore. I don't know how those people survive looking at that building.
Yeah. Eric Brown says, don't forget to
Thank you,
address
Eric.
how she, mean the Mayor Sheffield, on the one hand, talked about affordable housing while boosting Gilbert's condos in the Hudson started at $600,000.
Well, that's why nobody read her speech to her and say you can't say that, Madam Mayor. You
Right.
can't say that. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that. And you got 30, 40 fucking people standing behind her who unread her shit. Nobody. Here they are. And she's talking and they down here like they her posse. They ain't shit. And they ain't shit because they ain't doing nothing. Just go ahead and one fucking block at a fucking time. That's how you rebuild a city. And you make it work.
Tamara asked Adolf, could you be her consultant? I think Adolf will answer that question. She probably don't want Adolf to be a consultant because
I don't want to be the consultant.
And thank you, Terry, for your light moment. We appreciate it. And Tamari and Dorian talked about I think they kind of agree with you. It was Mike Duggan, Kevin Orr 2.0, and True Sensations out there tonight. Hello, True Sensation, our good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. I'm not sure that was a great. I get your point. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No.
Well, the bottom line is we she got listen, she talked a great game. A great game. But we haven't heard the shit before. We haven't
she
heard
needs
it.
more. She needs more than Dan Gilbert.
Right. And
Yeah.
then Dan Gilbert cannot be the savior of fucking Detroit. I'm not knocking Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert it's been good for the city,
Mhm.
but he's been a lone wolf, and
Well, not
we
really.
need more than a lone wolf.
He wasn't a lone wolf. In Duggan's administration, they had Roger Penske and Carmanos and Illich.
Yeah, well, not the way Dan Gilbert. He's been a lone wolf. Uh, Roger Penske and them. They
Okay.
did that fucking toy train shit. Some of this shit is bullshit.
I thought that
But
was Dan Gilbert's toy train.
and that's Roger Penske too.
Okay.
They all play a little role in the shit. You
And our
know.
friend Kenneth is out there. I don't think we even talked to Kenneth
No,
tonight. It's
we
good to
did
see you,
not.
Kenneth. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for being a part of our show.
But Dan Gilbert had more than not Dan Gilbert. Duggan had more than Dan Gilbert.
Right.
You're right. You're right. But she invoked the name of Dan Gilbert like he was Jesus.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
We need Jesus.
Who's going to save the paintings?
Jesus is going to help us.
Who's going to save the paintings next
What?
time? Who's going to save the paintings next time at the DIA?
Oh, I don't know. You need to sell the motherfuckers because
No.
they got 10 paintings in the basement
Yeah,
that they could have sold
that's
and
true.
they wouldn't have to go bankruptcy.
That's true.
That they don't even bring out. But listen, we got shit that we didn't have to go and file for bankruptcy. That was a political move by Rick Snyder and Dave Bing and all the rest of the folks that had their hand out. They had their hand out to um, to get paid, and
Yeah.
they got paid, and
Yeah.
you know they got paid, and they took the water. They've been wanting the water department for since the 1950s, and so and they got it, and they got it. So
Wow.
what's gonna happen? I don't know. I don't know. You don't know. But I all I want is the mayor to be a tough cookie, and she hasn't shown to be tough because I look at her 12 years on the city council. She wasn't tough. She wasn't tough, and for somebody to come out every time she announcing something new, and you got 30 people standing behind you, that ain't being tough. That's not being tough. I don't need these people behind me. I don't need all these folks to back me up. I'm coming out here. This is what I propose. This is what's happening in the city. And if you want your water department director or your finance director to be talking, let them have their own uh, press conference. Let them talk. You don't need them all in the background and stuff. I have that is a problem I have, and people might not care about that, but I do. It sends the wrong message that she need to be propped up. Uh,
Well, well, that might be the message that you think it is, but she's just been the mayor 3 months, and while she was on city council is a different animal than that of mayor. As you know, the
They
mayor
some weak,
of
they
Detroit.
some weak ass elected officials. All they do is give fucking proclamations and all that shit out. They don't do a damn thing. Anytime you got an election and three of them don't have fucking opposition, that's unbelievable. That is unbelievable that somebody in those districts that nobody thought that I won't even run against them. Not that they did a great job as a city council member, is that people don't care. People do not fucking care about what happened on city council because city council is useless. It's a body that's weak because we got a strong mayor, weak
That's what I was
city
saying.
council.
We have a strong mayor, and I think that once she gets her footing, and hopefully it will be sooner rather than later, sooner rather than later, we'll start seeing some difference. I don't think there's anything wrong with setting goals, and the goals you may not reach them, but setting goals, say, hey, I want the neighborhoods to be better.
And,
Hey,
and, and people
I
tired.
want housing.
And people tired of you.
Okay.
Listen, every fucking year, politicians write a check to the people of Detroit,
Mhm.
and every year at the end of the year, the check bounces.
Oh,
The city cannot cash the check. Residents cannot cash these checks.
mhm.
If people want cash, they want cash in their pocket, not a check. The check bounces all the fucking time. And I don't want a check. Don't write me a check. Cash money.
Cash
That's what
money.
they want. They want cash fucking
Cash
money.
is king.
I want my fucking money back from my pension. That's what I want back.
That's
You
right.
know,
The money that you earned, the money that was
I
earned.
want a higher wage,
Right,
but don't lay off my brother and sister that
Right.
right,
work with me.
right,
That's what I want.
right.
As
Now
Karen C
don't
always points out.
But again,
yeah,
is that a possibility? Is that an impossibility? And
no, it's
No,
a
it's not impossible.
possibility.
It's not
It's
impossible.
possible, but
you
don't
think
say you're
you
gonna
think it's
cut
possible?
property taxes 60%. You know you're not cutting property taxes 60%.
You
You know
can't.
you're not fixing the schools overnight. You know that. You know that. Let's, man, the people in the neighborhoods, they want better grocery stores, better, they want better police response. They want the police, if they call the police, they want them to show up. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want lower water rates. Folks can't afford to pay their water bills and stuff, or their light bills.
You know what I want, Adolf? I want them to take care of the people that provide the light
Yeah.
and the water and the police
Yeah.
and the fire
Right.
and the roads.
Yeah.
That's who I want them to take
Right.
care of. It's priorities. They don't have their priorities right. Once you set your priorities right and take care of people that earn that pension, earn that health benefit, the whole city will be better. So,
Fix the damn streets. Fix the potholes. That's
hey,
what
Denzel,
you
early,
do.
good to see you. Thank everybody today. It was a great show. It was. Go ahead, Adolf.
But anyway, well, we don't went over, but
That's okay. We've got no rules. This is the Adolf Mongo show. You can do what you want.
You'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow morning.
Y'all will be back tomorrow.
Yep.
Let's talk about the book just for a second, Adolf, if you don't mind.
What book?
Your book.
No. Tracy Mongo, author. If you want to go ahead and pick that book up, I think it's an American story.
It's a one-woman business. It's a good book. I'm gonna tell you, Tracy hooked it up, and I'm proud of her. It's Mongo.
I really think it's an interesting story. I think that her perspective is fascinating. So, and thank everybody that came on tonight. Thank you, Cuz. Thank you, Janet, Kenneth, Denzel, Terry, of course, Kenneth Powell, who's been a long time participant, Eric Brown, Terry McCrimmon, Janet, who's always in our corner. If I'm missing anybody here, True Sensation, Dwayla, who's a happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tracy. A little belated, Mr. 1213, if I didn't say. Anybody else I'm forgetting?
Wow. No, but somebody just said, I'm sure we'll be able to talk about tomorrow. It says a fight with about 20 people on Grand River and somewhere. I'm like, what?
Well, let's check it out, and you talk about it tomorrow. Jim, thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. Teresa, thank you. And Tracy Mongo. I got the real spelling, Mongo, not Mungo. With Mongos.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Duckett, for joining us, too.